Northwest Liberty News, picking the lock on the shackles of tyranny.
Machines are going to fail, and the system's going to fail.
The past is past, the future's now.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Sometimes trouble just follows a man.
There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus.
Can't you stop your lips from flapping for 2 little minutes?
It's because I'm white.
I'm a man. I'm sensitive. I need to feel loved. I need to be desired.
I'm rapidly becoming a big underground success in this town.
It's a question of methods. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants to do what they have to do to get them done.
And now, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, brought to you by Northwest Liberty News, it's Montana Gazette Radio with your host, James White. Okay, so I'm your host, James White. This is Montana Gazette Radio. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the broadcast. I lose track of the days. What is this? It's the 12th day of July, 2021. Thanks so much for joining me here. My broadcasts have been sort of sporadic lately because I've been doing some investigating on some things. Some of the investigation I just published last Tuesday, really a 2-year-long investigation into what appears to be some criminal activity, I would say, by the Whitefish Credit Union. And we published that on Montana Daily Gazette. Got a lot of views on the articles, and the videos have collectively, I think over 10,000 views now, I believe, collectively on the videos that I put out there. The 4 videos I linked to the articles. Maybe more, perhaps more, and do appreciate the support of the folks. And that's the only way that this gets out is if it's by you and sharing the video and sharing the articles around with folks that you know. Of course, you know we're getting heavily censored by mainstream by the tech companies, and have been for quite some time now. They don't like this type of news to get out, and you can see by the way that they. If you look back and they take the channel down now, but over time, of course, they just continue to chip away at your users, and they sometimes just don't broadcast your stuff, and they just don't let it get out. I mean, I've published things, of course, certainly that involves the jab, and that stuff just gets pretty well blocked right away. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about this the Whitefish Credit Union here, which is Montana's largest credit union. And I published an article here just a couple of days ago, just about a week ago, and I'll bring that article up here. And the title of the article is Breaking, Evidence Shows Largest Montana Credit Union Stole $500 million in Assets. And we go through, and I hope I laid out the case that shows that there's some shenanigans that are going on. I'm not an attorney, not a prosecutor. All I am going by is the people that are really the professionals that have looked over this case, including this guy, Alan Carver, who I've never met. If he was sitting in the room next door, I wouldn't even know what he looks like. But his report certainly is damning, no doubt about it. It looks like the Whitefish Credit Union engaged in activities that were really unethical, and again, in some cases, perhaps unlawful. They decided to stop giving out loans, but they were giving out loans, and then made them believe that they were still giving out loans. And there's another, I'm waiting on evidence right now, folks. It's going to be bombshell information if I can get the evidence, if the evidence is in fact true. And I do get it. I believe I have 2 interviews that are coming up today. One from a very, very well-known individual here in the Flathead Valley, whose reputation I believe is beyond reproach, unimpeachable, I believe. And also we have another victim that has been victimized. It has come out. Since I published this report, a lot of things have happened, some of which I can talk about and some of which I cannot talk about. And I think they're censoring my feed to the Montana Daily Gazette. The Facebook page. I think they're trying to. They don't seem to want me to broadcast there. Let me see if I can pop this open again and see if this works. Sorry for the delay, folks. It just doesn't seem like they want. I can broadcast on my own Facebook page, but I can't broadcast on the Montana Daily Gazette. They've blocked me. It seems like Facebook has blocked me from broadcasting on the Montana Daily Gazette. They won't let me send out notices either to the Montana Daily Gazette. So I'll have to keep that in a note for I'll have to keep that in mind for next time. I'll have to manually send that over there. So if you are watching here, if you're watching this, they now back on YouTube on Montana Gazette Radio on the YouTube. For what that's worth, who knows how long that will last? Of course, they're scoundrels as well. So it's not letting me send it to the Montana Daily Gazette. So that's okay, because what we'll do is, of course, I'll write this up and include this in an article, and we'll post it on Montana Daily Gazette website, and it will get hundreds and hundreds of views and passed around, perhaps thousands in the aggregate. Some of our articles do get tens of thousands of views, and we do appreciate the support of the viewers and the listeners. So one of the things that we're waiting on is evidence today that should be sent over to me in sometime soon. And what it outlines is allegedly, let's say allegedly, I haven't seen the evidence yet. This is what I'm told the evidence will prove. That what's been happening is borrowers have been going into the credit union and taking out a loan, on the a piece of property, for example. So let me. Well, they go into the credit union. They sign out all the loan application. They get all that taken care of, right? They go through the pre-authorization. They decide, they settle on whatever house it is or whatever they're buying, and they send the information over to the title company, and they set up a time or an appointment, usually a couple of weeks down the line. Depends. And they are supposed to meet at the title company and sign all the documents. Okay, that's what they're supposed to do. Well, what we're finding out and what the evidence we believe will show, and again, it's still alleged right now, and we'll have a actual victim on with us today that will describe his specific scenario. What we're understanding that is going on is so for example, if you have a couple of properties, let's say you've got a property on the lake and a property out in the country that's all paid for, and you want to buy a house in the city. So you go through the credit union, you fill out the loan application, and of course, when that happens, your credit is run, and you get your credit gets ran, and you have they have access to whatever properties and assets that you possess. So they know all the properties that you have. They know about your lake house and they know about your country house. Again, you're buying the city house, right? You're buying a house in the city. So what the evidence is allegedly going to bear out here, and I'm waiting on. As a matter of fact, the person that is coming on is calling me right now. It doesn't know I'm live, but this is the person I'll be interviewing here in a little while. He's probably calling me to tell me that he found the documentation that he was looking for. And what it's going to show is, we believe that the agreements that are signed in office with the loan officer at the credit union, properties that they own are added into that documentation and then sent over to the title company. So people show up at the title appointment a couple, 2-3 weeks later, and of course they just push that information across the desk, and most people never even read it or look at it. They just sign it because they assume, of course, that everything has been already adjudicated. Everything's already been agreed upon. It's all they had this meeting a couple 3 weeks ago where they went through the credit check. They decided what they wanted to. They decided on the price, appraisal, everything. Everything is They get the loan. They get approved for the loan. And in the meantime, when the time between when they sign for the loan inside the office and it gets to the title company, they insert those other properties into the loan. Person shows up at the title company, signs the documents. Unbeknownst to them, now their other property is now encumbered because they've stuck that in there as collateral. So what do? As you saw in the documentation that I showed earlier, I'm just kind of laying it out and giving you an idea of the dynamics of the criminality that goes on here. So what happens is they attach those other properties to the loan. As I stated, they have a lake house and a country house, and they're going to buy a property in the city. So they get that property in the city. The loan documentation for the city property is sent over to the title company. They slide the lake house and the country house in there. People go and sign it, not realizing what they've done. Then what do? They orchestrate a foreclosure on the city property. And when they do that, they get the other two properties as well. That is what we are waiting on evidence currently, right now, that is going to prove. It's going to show documents that were signed in office, and then what those same documents look like when they got to the title company. Now, of course, not everybody just signs away and doesn't, not everybody just signs stuff and moves on. Some people do reread it. Now, I don't have any evidence of those people that have reread it and went, hey, wait a minute. I didn't put these other properties on here. What's going on here? So what do you think the response is going to be? Oh, must have been a clerical error. Sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and get that straightened out and get a new set of documents sent over to you. You're like, we didn't get that one. It's okay. We'll get the next one. Most people don't even read. So we have people that also I've spoken to, other victims that have come out that I've spoken to since I released this article, that are going to come on here and they're going to tell their story as well, and how they've had properties in the $5 to $6 million range. They did that. The Whitefish Credit Union added those properties on their loan, and before you know it, they lose it all. They lose everything. It's foreclosed on. And if you think, well, wait, what do you mean they foreclosed on it? How would they do that? Well, because I'm going to tell you how they do it. It is important to note that borrowers with member business loans were not notified by Whitefish Credit Union that they would not be loaning any more money on development loans, including existing loans. Do you know how huge that is, folks? Do you know how huge it is where they come in and board makes a decision not to have any more development loans and business loans because they need to cut back on because their portfolio ballooned from 63 million, and over the course of 6 years, it went to $317 million plus. So that's what happened. Their portfolio, it was out of control. They were smacked down and said, hey, you can't have that much loans, business loans. So instead of working with regulators and the businesses to try to back out some of these loans and maybe hand some of them off to other lending institutions so they could, really, lower that exposure, right, and get it back down to where it should be. Didn't do that. Didn't work with the members to do that. No. They had a plan in place to foreclose on them, because when you foreclose on a property, right, it goes into the same category as if you pass the loan off to somebody else. And I say same category, I mean it comes off your books. It comes off your books as far as that percentage of loans, of member business loans that you have. When you foreclose on those properties, it lowers that percentage down. I believe in the deposition of James Kenyon, he even says we had to knock $80 million worth of loans off. And they did that by foreclosure. Didn't have to do that by foreclosure. Wasn't necessary to do that by foreclosure. If you read those documentations, the documents that I filed, you'll see that Dennis Thornton in particular, and he's not the only victim. There's many more, and you'll hear from some of them. Dennis Thornton wasn't the only, but it had an impeccable credit rating, had top-tier credit rating, never had any problem, have done millions and millions of dollars worth of over 30-year career, land deals, forest deals, creating roads, clearing land, developing property, all over 30 years, millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff. Never had a problem. It even says so in the Carver report. Thornton never had a problem paying off any of these loans in the past. Never. All of a sudden in 2009, 2010, new CEO comes over. He takes over at Whitefish Credit Union. And now all these people with impeccable credit ratings who have sometimes can get millions of dollars just on their signature, all of a sudden decide to screw the bank and try to weasel out of it with a new CEO there? No, that's preposterous. Where's the banking commission? I called Melanie Hall, hasn't called me back yet. I want to know, now that you have information that the sealed document that's been released, and that's another question. Why would Judge Wilson seal the document that showed that Dennis Thornton got screwed by the credit union? Why would that happen? And what we're also learning is, based upon our findings, is that there's two judges, Wilson and Allison, that always seem to cherry pick the Whitefish Credit Union cases. And they usually end up in summary judgments for Whitefish Credit Union against the borrower. Does that seem odd to anybody else besides me? I told you, it's a club. You're not in it. I'm not in it. The borrowers are not in it. Nope. Judges are in it. CEOs of corporations are in it. Bank presidents, that type of thing. Attorneys, they're in the club. You're not. I'm not. That's why we get victimized. These are things that are going to be coming out here, right? Whitefish Credit Union's reign of terror against its members are coming to an end. The jig is up for these folks. The jig is up. The stuff that's been done to some of the people that I've been talking to that are going to come on and give their story, it's horrendous. It's outrageous. It's beyond the pale. It's beyond the pale what's been going on here. This is going to be coming out. As you saw in the article, Attorney General Austin Knudsen's well aware of what's going on. He's got the data dump. He's got the data dump. Take a quick commercial break here. We'll come back on the other side. We'll pick this back up. Please support our advertisers, our lone advertiser right now, but the reason that is I'm not trying to seek any other advertisers because we're going to be going to AM and FM. We're waiting on actually a server that's going to be right here. We're going to run a lot of things out of here, and things just take time, more time than we thought. But it's going to be we're going to make it a class act when it all gets said and done. So we'll have regular commercial breaks and things like that. But right now, we're not doing it in that sort of that format here yet. But just hang tight, and we just appreciate you following the broadcast, following the show. You can see right here in the middle of the Montana Murder Hornet podcast. We're going to be coming out with that pretty soon. That's going to be a VIP podcast, subscription only. It's going to be JD Hall and I are going to get together, I think, a couple of times a week and go over some in-depth information that's going on here, news and information that's going on here in Montana, and you can certainly join that. We'll have that announcement out there and give you a link to go and check that out. I don't have it here handy, but we'll send that out. If you follow our news broadcast, or I should say our paper, the Montana Daily Gazette, you'll see. It's right there, I believe. Matter of fact, it's on this page right here. You can go right here if you go to this article. If you go to the article here. The breaking evidence shows largest Montana credit union stole $500 million in assets, and you scroll down here, you can see the Montana Murder Hornet podcast, and you can go there and check that out, and you can sign up for as little as $9.95 a month, and you get a complimentary subscription to the Insurgency email blast. So it's really a no loser, and there's some really good rewards if you got deep pockets, and you can do the $9.95 a month. You can go on a buffalo hunt with myself and JD and others, if that's your thing. There are a lot of great rewards here for people that want to support us. And folks, we only exist because you support us. I mean, you certainly. Who else is going to? When you impart truth and you break news that damages, corrupt, criminal cabals, and you report on the things that we report on, and you call people, crooks that are crooks. Yeah, the mainstream, no one wants to support that. No one in the mainstream wants to support that because they're all in on it. They're in on it. There's some shenanigans going on here in this whole Whitefish Credit Union thing. This thread that's been unraveled is going to go pretty deep. You'll see. And the thing is, folks, I just want to let people know. Well, I'll come back after a quick commercial break. We'll be back on the other side. James White, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaDailyGazette.com. If you like classic cars, exceptional service, and a money-back guarantee, then the Corner Shop in beautiful downtown Kalispell is the place for you. Whether it's an oil change, engine diagnostic, suspension work, or brakes all around, the Corner Shop has you covered. With expert technicians and a free consultation on all services, you can't go wrong with the Corner Shop. Did I mention the classic cars? While you're waiting for your expert service to be performed, take a stroll through the showroom to see Kalispell's smoothest collection of classic cars. The Corner Shop is conveniently located at 1212 South Main, just south of the courthouse. The Corner Shop is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., so drop by for an appointment or call 755-7777. That's 755-7777. The Corner Shop, Kalispell's full-service auto repair facility. Okay, folks, if you're in the Kalispell area, go down and visit the Corner Shop there, right south of town. Dan Korn and his fine staff will be happy to assist you on any of your car repair needs. And you can check them out there. And check out the showroom, too. They got some really great cars in the showroom. If you haven't been by there and you're in the area, again, you should stop by and check it out. Kathy works behind the counter. She's a great gal, and I consider Dan a friend, and he does great work there at the shop. So check it out over at thecornershop.net, just south of town. Okay, so another thing we're going to be doing here is increasing our different platforms. We're going to be broadcasting live on a couple of different platforms. Right now, it looks like apparently we're getting blocked from broadcasting on Facebook. I can broadcast on my Northwest Liberty News channel. They're blocking me from broadcasting on Montana Daily Gazette for some reason. That's a new thing. You know how that goes, folks. It's and sadly, we almost had it. We almost had it really brought under control here in Montana, or at least a good chance for it, over the legislative session. But nope, we just couldn't. These people are so corrupt and so bought and paid for in all of these legislative bodies, and a lot of them. There's a lot of really good legislators in Montana. Not all of them, but some of these people, some of these folks. I mean, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. They're pretenders. They're posers. They pose as being conservatives, and they're not. And that's one of the missions that we have here for Montana Daily Gazette, is to expose these posers and let everybody know who they are. And we're doing hopefully a decent job of that. So I want to say before I go on here, I just want to make a note. I'm going to recap some things. I'm not suicidal, not depressed, not downtrodden, any of that, because I'm poking the hornet's nest here. Understand, this is the town I live in, right? This is the county I live in. This is not some faraway place. This is the county I live in here in Flathead County, and this is the largest credit union in Montana, and they have billions. They have a couple $1 billion. So this is no small matter. This is not, now I don't necessarily think I'm quote unquote in danger. I don't play into all that. It is what it is, right? I mean, I'm on a mission, and the mission will end when God's ready for it to end, and wherever that will be, and no man will make that decision. So I don't worry about those things, frankly. It is what it is. I've died before and came back, and almost died 3 other times, and I'm still here. So every day that I have is a blessing to me, literally. Every day that I take a breath, I shouldn't be here, but I am. So that's where I stand on things. So I'm going to continue to move forward and expose these criminals. I think they're criminals, right? Quite honestly. I mean, let's go back and just review for one moment. Let's go back and review for one moment here the summary of Alan Carver. Now, just to review who Alan Carver is. Alan Carver retired after a 34-year career with the National Credit Union Association. He was hired by the victim, Dennis Thornton, to investigate the theft of his property by Whitefish Credit Union. Carver, now a private consultant, clearly outlines the wrongdoing of Whitefish Credit Union against Thornton in his report, which was sealed under a judge's protection order and not disseminated publicly until now. Again, why would you seal? When I'm going to read this to you, understand this was sealed by a judge. A judge sealed this. They sealed this document. Now, would a fair judge seal this? This guy, Alan Carver, is a regional director for 34 years from the National Credit Union Association. Whitefish is a credit union. He's from the Credit Union Association, right? There could perhaps not be a better expert in the country than this guy, or someone like in his same position, and maybe in his company has a couple guys like him. I don't know. Anyway, he's an expert court witness. If you look at his CV, he's an expert court witness, an expert witness in court. Okay, you understand? His testimony is practically unimpeachable. You'd have to impeach his testimony, and then the follow-up testimony from Rick Hawk, which I'll also read here in a moment. But you understand, for Whitefish Credit Union to somehow say they had, this is all lies, they have to impeach the testimony and the reputation of this guy, Alan Carver, who's been there 34 years in the National Credit Union Association, and Private Detective Rick Hawk, who spent 15 years in the Flathead County Sheriff's Department. He has to impeach both of those people. Both of them. That's just the private detective or the detective professionals. Not to mention a lot of other people that have looked at it as well that are well respected in this community also, one of which I'm going to be talking to after this broadcast and laying it all out. So let's go back here in a minute and talk about this Mr. Carver. So let's look at his summary. In summary, now this is Carver. This is Carver's summary. You can go look it up here, click the button, and you can see it. So you don't believe me, I'll show you the summary here. So we got the goods. And I'm making stuff up here on Montana Gazette Radio. As soon as this opens up here, this is not exactly the fastest. It'll open up in a minute. So when it pops open, I'll show you. So this is the conclusion. In summary, it is my professional opinion, based on my 48 years in the credit union industry, 33 years as a regulator and 15 years as a consultant, that Whitefish Credit Union clearly committed and violated not only a verbal agreement to finance the entire Thornton project to a total of approximately $7 million, but also committed a breach of written contract involving the loaning of $500,000 in subordination of their lien. And he concluded, no doubt their handling of this issue created unnecessary financial hardship for impacted borrowers, plural, such as the Thorntons, their employees, and the inability of these borrowers to enjoy the profits that a full completed development would have provided. Borrowers. Do I smell a class action lawsuit perhaps in the future here? What happens when these borrowers, and many of them have reached out to me and read these articles? This made the National Bank Wire news, I believe, on Friday night. I was notified. I don't even know what that is. Apparently there's information that goes around through all the banking community. Of course, they release it after 5 o'clock on Friday. You know how that goes, right? So it gets the least amount of coverage. That's how they do. They release these things that are damning to them, to the establishment. They release those Friday evening. After everybody's gone home for the week, everybody's getting ready for the weekend, that's when they release that stuff. So if you really want, just a little pro tip, if you really want to see when the real damning evidence gets released on these scoundrels, not just these scoundrels, but all these scoundrels in these establishment scoundrels, Friday evening is when a lot of that stuff comes out. So let's conclude here with this. Alan Carver, you heard the report. Alan Carver, go check it out yourself. Matter of fact, there it is. Alan Carver, right there. You can go look at it. He opened. Look at his work experience. He's an expert witness. Expert witness report. Expert witness. Expert. Cases prepared for expert witness. He's an expert witness in a court, okay? I mean, I don't hang around the court a lot, thankfully. I don't have any reason to. I don't have any violence or any criminal background or activity. However, I do know enough to know that an expert witness in a court is a pretty, you have to, they just don't, they don't pull some guy holding a sign that says, we'll work for food and says, hey, we need you to be an expert witness. Can we do that? Yeah, sure, I'll do that. No, these people have to be vetted. These people have to be authenticated. They have their credentials have to be reviewed to become expert witnesses. Okay? Expert witness testimony is important. How many court cases have been won and lost by expert witness testimony? But we have also, and I'm not saying that Rick Hawk's an expert witness, but he's certainly, as far as I'm concerned, an unimpeachable private detective. 15 years in the Flathead County Sheriff's Office. I think we can show that Whitefish Credit Union engaged in a deliberate, planned, systematic effort to obtain properties that they had loans against, and certainly was, in my opinion, unethical and others' opinions, illegal. And now again, to recap, we're waiting on evidence now. The guy with the evidence called me during the show here. I missed this call. He called me 22 minutes ago. Waiting now for evidence that proves. So right now it's allegedly, we're going to have evidence that is going to prove that Whitefish Credit Union added properties from the time that a person signed the loan in the loan office till it made it to the title company. Other assets that they owned were slid in there. Person signed off on them. Now their other assets are captured as far as their collateral against the loan. They close on the original loan and get all the properties back. That's what it looks like's been going on. At least one part of the con. That's just one wing of the con. That's one angle of the con. Let me ask you a question. Why are banks in the business of being of real estate anyway? Why do they own property? Banks they sell these properties and sometimes make a profit. Where does that money go? How come that doesn't show up on the books? Could there be two sets of books? We think so. You don't understand the level and the depth and the breadth of this scam, folks. It's true. It's true. I wish I was wrong. But you heard the testimony. Let's go over one more time again. 34 years, 33 years, 34 years, 33 years as a regulator. Whitefish Credit Union clearly committed and violated not only a verbal agreement to finance the entire Thornton project to a total of approximately $7 million, but also committed a breach of written contract involving the loaning of $500,000 in subordination of their lien. Do you know that Dennis Thornton can't get a bicycle today on credit? Can't go down and get a bicycle because they've ruined his top tier credit. They still have him owing $4 million on a foreclosure that was adjudicated and dismissed with prejudice. They didn't take it off. They didn't remove it. It's still out there. They did not do what they were supposed to do. They acted in bad faith. And as you can see, they didn't even let their own business members know that they weren't loaning any more money. But yet they led them on to believe that they were so they could get their property. You understand what's going on here, folks? This is all going to be coming out in much greater detail. That's all we got time for right now. I've got other interviews, as I stated, coming up here pretty soon. One with, again, be releasing those shortly. Another with a local person here in Montana of great repute who has a great amount of knowledge about what's been going on. We're going to get some more information from him. And we also have one of the victims that have been victimized by this adding property to the mortgage, the loan that got, caught by that. We're going to have him on as well. So please support us over at MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaDailyGazette.com. Sign up for our Murder Hornet podcast. That would really be the best thing you could do is support our podcast, because we're going to be bringing you we name names here, folks. We call people crooks. We're not like the mainstream media who just spreads lies and propaganda. We spread truth, and it's powerful, and it's becoming more and more popular, and now's your chance to contribute. So go to the Montana Murder Hornet podcast. You can find the link here on the page here I showed you. Appreciate you looking in. Please support our advertisers, and pray for us as a network and a show, and me personally, because I'm poking some pretty powerful people here in the Flathead Valley, Flathead County in the eye. But I don't know what to say about that, except someone's got to do it. Thanks for looking in. Until next time, this is James White from Montana Gazette Radio, saying bye now.